Brian, hi. It's so good to meet you. And I'm really excited to get to know you on a deeper level. Um, first off, I should say I'm a big fan of yours. I've been following your work for some time, but you have had such an interesting career and life journey. You were a former professional soccer player and Olympic level athlete for the representing Team USA for soccer. And now you're a VP for one of America's largest mortgage companies. So I just would love to hear more about that career journey that you've been on.
Yeah, it's been a cool journey, and thank you for having me and the connection we made. And that's what's
Absolutely.
I always look at, like, how we meet people, especially LinkedIn. The last few years of everything being more remote is the relationships we built. And I test it back to much like soccer. I played on a lot of different teams. I traveled a lot, like through Europe, and got some cool experiences. What I found out early in life is the best teams would win championships and win more games. There was never a team I was on that I go, wow, we had the best one or two players. There's 11
Right.
players in soccer, but the best teams and those that put in the work and that were coached. And so that was a great foundation for me. My dad coached me earlier, I had some great mentors, and that led me into business where I wanted a field that I could compete in, I could serve, I could take those connections and relationships and actually do something with them. And for me, it started getting into finance. Was I had a really hard time with my wife and I when we were engaged buying our first house. Not the best experience. I was overwhelmed, didn't understand it, all the emotions of,
Wow.
like, do I qualify? What are we going to buy? Like all the things that people go through. And that's what really was the catalyst of a lot of my friends at that time in their mid 20s and late 20s were trying to buy homes too. And I thought, well, I love finance. I love people. And I think I can do something with this. So I just jumped into it. And yeah, 21 years later,
Wow.
now lots of things in between that. But the biggest lesson I learned was nobody gets there by themselves. And it's back to that great team. And if you're in that competitive environment around the right people, then you'll be able to succeed and it'll bring out your gifts that you can contribute and make that team better.
That's amazing. What now that kind of makes me think about growth mindset because when I think of growth mindset, I don't think of a singularity. I don't think of one individual. I think of a collective. So that's something that stood out to me watching your just being a fan of yours and following you is how passionate you are about mindset. Now, there has to be something to that because there's an athlete's mindset that you have, and you apply that in business. And I think that's so like a key secret ingredient that you have that I think is a differentiating factor for you. Can you expand on that maybe?
I think we've all got different relationships with what I would say is like failure and that temporary pain of something that we go through. We're not good at a new skill, or we're doing something that's outside of what people call their comfort zone, and we get uncomfortable. What I learned early in soccer was there were some failures and some teams that I didn't make, that I look back and there was a moment that I could have quit. I could have gotten upset like a lot of us do when things don't go our way or we start to learn something new in business. Maybe that account doesn't choose us, like all these examples we have. And I think where I learned at an early age was that it was okay to fail, and I had some coaches around me. And even though I would have the emotion of, well, this sucks. Like no one wants to lose. No one wants to get cut from a team. Like let's be real about that. But what I learned is if I continued to show up, I continued to put in the work, that I would have opportunities provided to me. And they may not look like I thought they would. Even how I landed at the college that I landed at was not the original game plan, and things shifted. But I look back and go, I put in the work, which then provided me other opportunities, which actually worked out in my favor, better than what I could have even imagined. Look, that's happening in business today. For anybody that's listening or reading through this, would probably be able to relate to. We had a plan coming into 2022,
Yep.
especially in the mortgage and real estate business. Wow. Like it changed fast, and it changed at such a rate. 300 basis points in interest rates, right? Home prices are going up above asking offers, to now
Yeah.
prices are starting to cool off. How do you adapt to things that don't go your way? And that was the mindset journey that I'm still on today. And what I look for, even in like a daily workout like I had this morning, there is a point at which in those workouts, I'm questioning why I'm there. I might even be questioning, do I need to do another rep? Like all those things.
Yeah.
When you realize you have the power and control over your thoughts and your beliefs, I believe that's who you become. And so,
Yeah.
what I have learned, the biggest single ingredient is new information and new experiences can create new beliefs. Right. And so I think that's the biggest thing for us. New information and new experiences can create new beliefs. That's why I like to get out. I like to move around. I like to get new information because that'll challenge my beliefs, which really is tied right into my mindset. And that will then allow me to make choices that, look, I may be scared. I may be fearful. I may be all those things that people feel, but I'd like to be that person that looks back and says, yeah, I tried it. This one worked. That one didn't work, but I want to be in the game.
I love that. And you hit on something. It's one of my favorite quotes from Napoleon Hill is for every failure exists a seed of an equivalent benefit.
Yes.
So, that's part of a growth mindset is recognizing that when you have these failures, that they're just on the path of success. You just have to keep going. Those failures don't mean that you failed. They just have taught you a lesson, or they've made you better or sharper, or it's your perspective. It's how you look at it, right? But for
Absolutely.
every failure you have, there's an equivalent seed of a benefit. And,
Yes.
maybe something didn't work out because it didn't serve you long term, but to have that mindset, to keep persevering, to keep growing, that's the athlete's mindset. I love that.
Yeah, I had a coach, as you were saying that, Tara, I was thinking about this. I had a coach that talked about failure is really feedback.
Yeah.
And if you can shift your mindset towards that of when things didn't work out the way you wanted, what was the lesson in there? Like you said, like, what do I need to go back and work on? Like, how could I have prevented this or done better in that moment? And I think a lot of times, like even just a difficult, crucial conversation that didn't go right. Like, did I prepare? Did I not listen well? Like, what were those things that we all can do in our life? And it's really giving us feedback the next time we're in that same spot. How do we
Yeah.
respond?
That's interesting. So, the leadership that you learned on the field, I assume that you just directly applied that right in business. And a couple of things you talk about purpose, why we're here on this earth. You talk about drive, but you talk about leadership a lot, and it seems to be a reoccurring theme for you. So, but one thing that you said, I think it was last week in a post that really, really resonated with me was the fact that we're not a leader between walls. We're a leader in all aspects of life. So and that's a mindset, right? That's a mentality. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I used to believe that like there was this leadership version of Brian in the office. Like, and that was like the person I showed up as. Like, I'm gonna put my suit. We used to wear suit and ties, right? And all that. And but we would show up and I would be leadership Brian at work. Well, then when I would come home and with my wife and our kids and all of that, like, okay, now I'm this other Brian that's over here. And then, well, let's say I'm working out or I'm with my friends and with the guys and I'm out over here doing something else. Well, that's a different version of Brian. I think for a lot of us, like, especially as you step into leadership and you're early in that journey, you try to compartmentalize. And it's like you think you have to be this different person, different aspects. The real freedom, the breakthrough in my life that I would invite anybody and just to kind of explore this is be curious about the leader and the person that you are at home, at the office, on the ball field, at your church, like wherever you are, you're the same person. And I
Yeah.
went back to Stephen Covey's whole person theory. And I started looking like I am the same person. Like, how am I taking care of all of me so that I can show up and be the best version of myself in all of those areas? Because like my wife doesn't deserve less. My team
Right.
doesn't deserve less. Like they want me. And for my journey to really grow, that was kind of a breakthrough that I I had never thought of it that way. And so I would invite
Wow.
people to explore that.
Yeah, to be a leader in all aspects of life. I think that's so powerful and resonating because honestly, no, I've never heard it mentioned like that before. That's why it stood out to me so much. And I think it's important. Especially company owners. I've got plenty of friends that are, CEOs, and they expect a energy level from their team, but then they don't work out themselves or take care of themselves or do any of the, above mentioned activities that would enable that energy from other people. So if you want to be a leader, you've got to take it home too. You've got to practice what you preach, and have it in all areas of your life. If you want to teach it to others, it makes so much sense, right?
Huge. Think about even, I was fortunate enough to be captain of the soccer team in high school and in college and through. And I think about captains today on the team, like they're the designated leaders. But could you imagine that leader not doing the extra runs or
Yeah.
being late to a practice or coming late to a team meeting or video? Like that's not how it works. They would lose respect. They would lose the captain armband. It's always, I think about that as like, as I show up as a leader, am I leading by example? We have to start by leading ourselves. So that's the full circle loop of how this all applies.
That's perfect. And then, another thing I've been watching your personal brand, and I just think it is so cool. So it's a topic I'm super passionate about, and the evolution of your personal brand. And, so many executives that I talk to, they don't understand why they need to have one, because they feel comfortable in their role. They don't feel like they're going to go anywhere. So they figure, why even bother developing one? What does it mean? But the way you frame it too is that, team culture and building actually does happen a lot on social media too. And, you're leading by example right here on LinkedIn every day. So why is building a personal brand important for you? And what have you, well, I guess we'll start there, but I have
Yeah.
another question after that too.
Well, this has been a journey. So I
Yeah.
really started to go back 5 years ago was kind of the origin of, I realized I had a personal brand, but I wasn't online. I wasn't really doing what I had. I didn't even really have a Facebook account, by the way, if that tells you I just gotten on Instagram. Like this was just
Wow.
5 years ago. And it was really birthed out of like what a lot of ideas happen. It was birthed out of some pain and some failure of, in my role, I'm recruiting producers and building teams and all of that. And I wasn't recruiting the people I wanted, or I'd recruit the wrong people and realize, wow, we're not aligned up. So I went back and I asked a friend and coach of mine, I was like, so here's what I'm experiencing. And he broke it down very simply for me. He's like, Brian, your reputation online and how you show up online and how you show up in person is now what people are going to see. And you're going to attract those people. So if you're not showing up here and they are not clear on what you believe and who you're looking for, you're going to attract anybody and everybody, which is what you're doing. You're just basically appealing to everyone. But you're telling me this is the kind of person you want over here. These are the core values you have. This is who you want. So I started my journey getting clear about what I believed, what my core values were. And this is what I have learned and I've come to firmly believe is that your online reputation, that digitization of your reputation today, you can build trust. You can actually get to know people and attract them into your life, secondarily. And the third is your current team gets to see you show up, especially in a market like we've been in the past couple of years. You didn't see everybody as much as you used to. And our team, for example, we're over 8 states. So it's
Yeah.
not even physically possible for me to think that I'm going to be in front of everyone, even on a monthly basis, every team. And so that kind of leads you to the conclusion of you got a choice. Do you want to show up online and be the leader that people are attracted to, add value to your current team and build your reputation? Or plan B, which would be, are you going to let other people tell the story about you? Kind of
Yes.
hope strategy. Well, I hope my team knows that I care and all of that. And this is what I found, Tara, is I started showing up and engaging in our team's online content as well, leaving meaningful comments and feedback. And it
Mhm.
gave us a chance to interact. And they felt like, in a way, I was omnipresent. I was there with them when I wasn't there. And they're like, man, Brian, we see you everywhere. So I didn't lose as a leader. I didn't lose the
Mhm.
connectivity of our team that went from like 30 people to 200 people. I want to be connected to all of them. And so I'll tell you this quote. It's kind of, it stayed with me. Grant Cardone shared, best known is going to beat best.
Wow.
I was like, I don't know about you, but I was taught the best athlete wins. The best person, if you're the best mortgage originator, you're the best real estate agent, you're the best coach. Shouldn't you win? Guess what? That's not always true, because that person that's able to gain the attention and then build trust, and then you also need to deliver. So I do believe there's a part, you've got to be quality and qualified.
Yeah.
But think about today, if you're not even known, you're not even getting invited into the conversation of joining your team, becoming a coach, having that consultation meeting. You're not even at the table. And so you're missing out on this large piece of business that when I shifted, then again, it's back to I want more opportunities so I can choose who I want to work with, when we want to do things together, and how we want to do them.
And it keeps you at that top of mind awareness. I think that's so important. I've read Grant Cardone's book as well. And I admire his work. And he's all about attention, putting it out there. Because if you're not, someone else will. So you have to keep that top of mind awareness. And the goal of marketing is, not everybody needs your product or service at that moment, but the point of it is that when they do need it, that you're the person they go to. You're the person they think of
That's right.
because you've built up that trust, you've built up that awareness and that, reach over time so that when they are ready to buy, the decision is already made.
Yeah.
So important. And that's the power of personal branding is that repetition over time that leads to trust, that leads to that, eventually delivery of that service or product.
Huge. And
Um,
here's the
so
biggest byproduct. So people always, if you look on LinkedIn, it's full of this. Everybody's on this journey. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to have personal development. Look, I haven't found anywhere better than leaning
yeah.
in. When you start to post and you're writing your content and you're posting about what you believe and your experiences, and in a way, you're being vulnerable about, hey, here's the experience I had. This is what I learned, or I'm reading this book. This is what I learned. You're going to have exponential personal growth. And so
Yes.
that for me, I didn't realize that was kind of part of that journey. But to this day, when people ask, like, how can I work on myself as a leader? It's like if you lean into this, not only is it great to build your brand and to post online, but you're going to learn a lot about yourself, how consistent you are. How do you respond to comments and feedback that are there? Do you struggle with what you actually believe? And I
Yeah.
think that part of the journey, I would invite people on because there's no faster way to get feedback. And when you're doing the work that you're going to learn as you do that faster than any book you could read on its own.
Absolutely. So, we've talked a lot about why leaders should have personal brands, but can anybody benefit from one, And I think a lot of people don't understand. They think of it as like an ambiguous term, personal branding. What does that even mean? But obviously, leaders need one, but anybody can benefit from this, don't you think?
Huge. So a friend of mine here with brand builders, Roy Vaden, um, he shared this recently, and the statistics on this were actually really fascinating to me. That the top actually industry that people said that they would want them to have a personal brand was doctors.
Wow, that's
Doctors.
incredible.
So think about that. And I think it was over 60% or so of the survey respondents said
Mhm.
they would want their doctor to, because they didn't want to feel like you were the first person they did the surgery on. They wanted to know that they had done the surgeries or the work, or they had the experience
Yeah,
that you would hire them. And then they went through lawyers, financial planners, obviously real estate. I think the higher the level that we need to have trust with someone, then yes, you must have a personal brand to differentiate yourself. Or look, I tell everybody, you have a brand before you walk into a meeting. People have Googled you, they've looked you up. And if you're not there,
yeah,
what a missed opportunity, right?
yeah,
And I would rather be the one that gets to tell my side of the story, who I am, what I believe, how I show up, because I believe that is in today's world, it's like the modern business card and resume. Before you walk in, they've already predetermined some things about you. And so why not curate that and be yourself, show up. So when they meet, like when people meet me in person, my favorite thing is they're like, Brian, you're the same person I met online. I'm like, yeah, because that's really me. Like that's how we show up. That to me is when you're congruent and you've built your brand around who you are. And I had someone joke this morning at our gym. They're like, man, I watched one of your motivational videos. I was like, I got to watch motivational videos sometimes too. Like
yeah, yeah,
right there with you. So
yep.
build trust, build your reputation, and that's how you're going to build your revenue. And ultimately, whatever your goals are, that's going to help you get to those.
Absolutely. Anybody can benefit from this. And you're so right. Our LinkedIn profile anymore is our business card. And people look at it. And I've had business owners tell me that investors or potential partners or customers actually look at your personal LinkedIn profile before they even look at your company page.
Yeah.
So, because they're wanting to, anybody wants to get to know a person on a level. People buy from people, they don't buy from companies.
That's right.
So, when I think of mortgage loans, I think Loan Depot because I'm connected with you. And that's the goal, right? The goal is the association. And again, staying at that top of mind awareness. And that's part of what building a brand is. It's an innate holistic marketing mechanism that you can have for yourself. So whether you're a new student graduating college or a job seeker or or you're comfortable in your career, the only thing consistent in life is change. So, if you have a personal brand, it carries you through no matter what change may come in your life. Don't you think?
I totally agree. And I was like sharing that with one of our teammates the other day. They're a new leader, and I know they want to expand their role and they want to grow into that next level of leadership. And what I share this, we need to start building that for you because that's how you're
Yeah.
going to attract people. That's how you're going to build it. But also internally within your organization, people miss this is, that was something I didn't at first. Again, I started it for different reasons, but I realized, wow, I'm now connected up with our 5 or 6,000 team members across the Loan Depot family that
Mhm.
some of them I've never met before, but when we met at our chairman's elite or we're at a function together, it's so cool that now we feel like we know each other.
Yeah.
And that I think that's the power today of you can build relationships and trust just at such a faster pace. And then when you meet people, I do think that's the window of opportunity then to
Yeah.
decide, are we going to do something together versus that first cold call like we all used to do. It's like you've never met them, you've called them, you set an appointment, you don't even know what they really look like. You get there, you're starting from so much further back. Wouldn't it be great? I think about like a football field or soccer field. Wouldn't it be great to start at like midfield, 50-yard line?
Exactly.
Like I'm already here because you've learned all of this. Now my job is to move forward.
That's perfect. That's exactly right. Starting at midfield, it puts you already in a position to where there's an acknowledgement, where there's a familiarity with that person, where there's already a trust level built up with that
Yes.
person. So that all you need to do is just get that one step closer, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Any other, I'm just so inspired by our conversation. I know this is going to inspire a lot of people. Any other closing thoughts that you have on just growth in general and what it means to grow to full potential?
I think for me, the thing that is over the last couple of years stood out that I would invite people, if you haven't done this, this was one of those like, again, I look for like breakthroughs. Like when did I have something that I believed this or someone had told me this, and then I got into it and I go, hold on, it's not really that at all. It's this. And the thing that I went back to was defining what success was to me.
Yeah.
I'd always been told, I don't know about you, like, Tara, I was told what success was. Like, you make this much money, you have this position, you get promoted to this level, like, especially in corporate or different organizations. You do this much in production, your team does this, you have this house, this car, like, whatever it is. And I'm like, I remember one day we happened to be at the beach and I was just journaling stuff and writing stuff down. I remember thinking, well, to me, success was a big part about my family. So you'll see me share my family a lot and those. I said, for me, it's to be able to provide for them. And it's really deeper than that of like, I want to do the things I want to do when I want to do them with the people that I want to do it with. And that for me, there's goals that are underlying in that of there's things I want to accomplish. But that's what success was. Until you have clarity of success, you're chasing and building someone else's dream. And when I got clear on what my dream was for me, my wife, our family, it's amazing how the world and the universe and God will kind of open this, close that, and you'll
Yep.
start to really move towards it. So that's what I would invite people on that journey of when you know yourself and you know where you're going. I have found there's less obstacles in the way in the sense of distractions. Doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. Doesn't mean you're going to face things that don't go your way, but it does mean I'm not dealing with distractions of, oh, do I really want to go and let's say open this business over here in healthcare? Well, that's not even part of my clarity of my vision and journey. So no, easy no. And I think that's what would help people today that I would share is get maximum clarity about success and what it looks like to you and where you want to go. And that will help you as you make decisions every day. And for me, that's been one of the biggest things over the last year of like, wow, I can say yes and no with a lot more certainty. And then I believe that's what's aligned up some things to where I'm happy doing what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big piece of what we do.
I think that's one of the key pillars to success is that clarity of vision. Because if that's where you start, if you don't know what you want, how could you get it? And even if you got it, would you even recognize it if it came to you?
No,
You have to have that definiteness and that clarity of vision, so that it does pave the way for you. Because I think as human beings, we get so bogged down with how am I going to do this? What are the steps? What do I need to? The steps figure themselves out when you have the definiteness of the vision. That's where you start. And when you are able to keep that clarity of vision in the forefront of your mind, is when those action steps really get easier for you.
makes sense.
I think that's one of the hardest things you can do as a human, is just keeping that vision in the forefront of your mind. But if you're able to do that, it sets you up for worlds apart, and so much success. Really anything could be possible at that point.
That's
So
right.
I love that. That's perfect, Brian. Thank you so much for being such an inspiration to so many people. And I will make sure that all of your contact information is in the body of this newsletter so people can connect with you and follow you. But
Awesome.
definitely follow Brian, because he is so inspirational, and he teaches you exactly how to be the best version of yourself. So thank you so much for everything that you do to serve your community. And I look forward to more conversations.
Likewise. Thank you, Tara.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Good seeing you.
You
Bye.
too.